My name's Erica Brown. I use she, her pronouns, and I live in West Philly. When I first heard about the oil refinery, actually I saw it because every time my mom and I would go to the airport to go to Christmas or something like that, visit our grandparents, we would drive by it to get to the airport. And there were these huge tanks, and I was into science at the time, a lot growing up as a kid, and so I would recognize those labels they put on with the four squares, one's red, one's blue, one's yellow, one's white, about toxic, whatever. And so I knew what it was. So in 2019 when I heard that exploded, I was like, oh, wow. And I was out of town, but I saw it on the TV, and it was just this huge plume of red. So that's how I heard about it. And then I got involved with climate organizing with the Sunrise Movement when I was in high school. In 2019, I was a rising junior. And that's when I learned about Philly Thrive as well. I got 100 or so of my classmates to walk out of school, me and a couple of my friends. And we went on a climate strike. We rallied outside of City Hall. And there was a man with a black hat, black coat, black gloves with a microphone talking about how he had worked inside those oil tanks and scraped it off, and all he had was a mask, when he should have been having a hazmat suit. And how this was an opportunity, a very unfortunate event that could have cost a lot of lives, but it's an opportunity to revitalize that area so that way the oil refinery wouldn't be giving people cancer anymore. And he talked about wanting to shut it down. And it worked. And so I was kind of on the outskirts, on the periphery. And then when I heard about Hilco for the first time was, I think, mid-2020. I was still a junior, but COVID had happened, so was I a junior, was I not, was I in school? I was asked to speak at a school board hearing because Hilco had owned the land now. They were trying to basically skip out on taxes to the school district, and so I spoke. I was like, that's messed up. Gotta pay your fair share, contribute your fair share to the community. And then I heard about them again at the beginning of 2022 when Philly Thrive was trying to rally the troops and was fighting for a community benefits agreement, making sure that Hilco would contribute to the community, contribute to schools, and also provide green jobs, also not use completely renewable energy. And that's when I found out some more of the details about, actually who they are in terms of trying to build all these warehouses, lease them out to Amazon, Home Depot, bring these huge diesel trucks, pave all the land so that way all the water runs down to the community. And that's when I started to learn more about who they really were. Around mid-2022 is when we Sunrise really started to work hand in hand with Philly Thrive and got to know a lot of who they are, a lot of long-term movers and shakers in the community. And yeah, a lot of people, especially the elderly women, had cancer, had family members who had died of cancer, blood cancer, bone cancer, brain cancer. And they described it as Hilco and these billionaires coming in with AK-47s and just shooting bullets of cancer into the community. And they were very clear that, this environmental damage, this environmental racism is human caused. That means it can be human solved. And so that's why we actually come together to force things to be different, because we can if we get enough people. Yeah, when I think about health, I think about being able to live and survive. And we're in a very crucial point, and people have been saying this for the last couple of decades. We're in a crucial point, but it's true more now, more than ever, where we have maybe, 6 years before 2030 to really get off of fossil fuels as fast as possible. And that should have happened before I was born, if we're being honest. But these fossil fuel billionaires lied intentionally to the public saying, oh no, fossil fuels, us putting this gas into the air, no, it's not, it doesn't do anything. Actually, it's helpful. And then science came out and it's like, oh, actually, nope, it's making everything hotter and making it harder for crops to grow and making storms worse. And they were like, okay, maybe it's real, but we didn't cause it. And then the report came out that said that their own scientists found that they were causing it. And they were like, okay, well, there's not anything we can do about it. And then, it continues. But what we have to understand is that they're full of bullshit. And it's everyday people, not this wealthy few who are, creating the rules, rigging the rules in their favor, who actually are going to be able to make the truth known and act on that truth. And so, yeah, when I think about how industry affects me, I think of I'm about to move out of my parents' house for the first time, get my own apartment, become independent, and I want to be progressing through my life. I want to, have a good job. I want to create more wealth for myself, create a family. And in a world where we let these small few keep polluting our air and burning fossil fuels, we're going to see crop failure, and we're going to see starvation, and that leads to war. And, something I think about, and a lot of people in Philly think about, is gun violence. And it's like, do you think gun violence is going to get better or worse when there's bread that costs $50 and there's no more water in the shores because there's another scare and everyone's going to, get it right away? And so it's scary to think about. Winter is one of my favorite seasons because I'm an introvert and I like to be inside and I like to get warm in my coats. And we had no snow, basically, for the last 2 years. Used to go to Clark Park all the time. You got that big bowl. You can just sled right down it. No snow. First year, I never thought this would happen. The sky being red in Philadelphia. And that's not the future I want for myself. So the last several years, I think I've learned a lot. And I think I learned a lot, not so much from all the events and catastrophes, human-caused catastrophes that happen, but because of me coming together with other people, everyday people in the community, my friends, my family, my neighbors, as part of Sunrise, because I learned that it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what the color of skin is, it doesn't matter if you lived here 30 years or you're new around here. Everyone wants the same things. We all want clean water, clean air, safe place to live. And it's really just a few people whose their main strategy is to distract and divide us, to say, oh, black people are violent. Oh, poor people are lazy. Do you really want to be in a park with them? Do you really want to be on the train with them? If you give them money, if you give them nice things, they're just going to waste it, right? But then they get us to believe that, and then we become isolated. But if we come together and we realize that's bullshit right there, we're all people, we're all human beings, we can come together and get what we deserve if we can be confrontational, if we tell the truth, if we recognize that for a lot of these billionaires, a lot of these people who run these corporations, a lot of the politicians they employ, they'll say lies to you with a straight face and a smile. But if we recognize that, oh, actually we all want the same thing, we can come together and take what we deserve, because that's the only way we get it. And yeah, even in the past year, a lot of different local groups in Philly have been rising up, like people at the UC townhomes who are trying to be their landlord, trying to say, oh wow, I can make a ton of money by destroying your homes, throwing you out on the street and giving the money to Penn, giving this land to Penn. Would love to do that. By the 76ers, who was like, wow, we could build this huge stadium and kick everyone out and replace all these small owned businesses that replicate Chinese culture and just replace them with a bunch of Subways and Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Yeah, it's just so clear, their tactics, but we can come together, and that's the main thing that I learned. I think before I learned about the Sunrise Movement, it wasn't clear to me what the plan was. I was like, oh wow, I can understand how bad climate change is. I understand we have to do something about it, but what is that? We can get overwhelmed by the problem, but having a solution, a clear solution, can help us be motivated to actually win it. So what we talk about at Sunrise is the Green New Deal, which is really the only plan I've ever heard of that actually is going to meet the transformation that we need in this country and on this planet to provide and make sure everyone's basic needs are met while preventing the climate crisis. The Green New Deal is three things. It's completely transitioning off of fossil fuels to renewable and non-carbon emitting power sources. It's creating millions of good jobs all over the country because, these fossil fuel billionaires, they've been saying, oh, we want to do something about climate change, we want to, but it's going to kill all the jobs, so we can't. Sorry, we want to, but we can't. Lies, right? Because we know we need millions of jobs creating solar panels, installing them, retrofitting buildings, repairing all of our, dilapidated schools and bridges and buildings, and having urban agriculture, and also having care work like teaching and librarians and caring for the elderly that also don't emit carbon, right? And then the last one is investing in black and brown and working class communities, because around where I live, ton of trees. If you go to North Philly, no trees, 10 degrees hotter. Right? If you go to North Philly, very few public services, very few rec centers, very few libraries that are open. And so if we want to actually make sure that we're increasing quality of life, which is what preventing the climate crisis is all about, then that's the approach we need to take. Having that clear solution has been motivating for me, so that I can think about, okay, what's the best thing I can do? How can I get me, my friends, my neighbors on board to win this as fast as possible? Because we have no time left to be letting these fossil fuel people run the country.